Welcome, SENS Talk.
Russell winds in, feeds it back across the strike, and scores! Brady Tkachuk makes it 2-0. Paul Giroux, hit alone, scores!
Tim Stutzock cross, Tkachuk score! The captain, Brady Tkachuk, buries it with 1:18 to go.
See you later. Go, SENS, go. Welcome to SENS Talk. My name is Brandon Plent, and I am your host today. Ottawa took on the Detroit Red Wings in the return of the Meow Man. Alex DeBrincat returns to the nation's capital, and it was an interesting one with him and the Detroit Red Wings, to say the least. Now, Alex DeBrincat returns to the nation's capital as the National Hockey League's leading goal scorer. So, safe to say, good chance he scores today. Now, for Ottawa, the lineup primarily stays the same for the most part, except for the fact that Artem Zub stays out of the lineup after taking a puck to the ear last game. It's supposed to be short term. He should be back probably by Tuesday against the Buffalo Sabres. But in the meantime, Zach McEwen was sent down to Belleville, cleared waivers. No one picked him up. And in a corresponding move, the Ottawa Senators called up Jacob Bernard-Docker to fill in for Artem Zub. Now, the starting goaltenders tonight were Joonas Korpisalo for the Ottawa Senators, looking for a second win as a Senator, and Ville Husso for the Detroit Red Wings. Let's go to the first period of play, and right away, off the face-off, in the warm-ups, his first shift, Alex DeBrincat is heavily getting booed every single shift. And the Sharks, by the way, in the first 5 minutes of play, are 5-0 Ottawa. They are flying out there. They know the importance of this game, not only because Detroit is a rival, and Detroit is a team that they're going to be vying or competing with, for that playoff spot, but DeBrincat is back in the barn. It's nearly a sold-out crowd. It's a big game. They want to put on a performance. Early on, they are flying 5-0 in terms of shots, 8-0 in the first 12 minutes, and then a minute later, 13 minutes in, Detroit needs 4 players to take Brady Tkachuk down. They literally jumped the guy. Then him, and you can see on your screen here, then him, Brady Tkachuk, and Alex DeBrincat get into a bit of a chirp fest after DeBrincat was hiding behind the refs. He was hiding behind the refs during that scrum. And guess what? That is not that shocking. Let's just say it's not shocking that Alex DeBrincat is taking a bit of a step back. Just saying. Anyways, a few minutes after that scrum, where literally 4 Detroit players had to take him down. Tkachuk's such a physical freak. And speaking of Brady Tkachuk, guess what? With about 3 minutes left in the first period of play, Tkachuk and Jake Sanderson play hot potato. Jake Sanderson lets one rip from the point. Bing, bang, boom. 1-0 Ottawa. Brady Tkachuk to Jake Sanderson on the power play. And the Sens, guess what? Are up 1-0. Jake Sanderson has 3 goals in his last 4 points. Unbelievable. Last year, Jake Sanderson only had 4 goals total in all 82 games. This year, 3 in the first 5 games. What a start for Jake Sanderson. That shot absolutely improved this summer. Unfortunately, though, after Ottawa was dominating the first period of play, and the shots were literally like 15-3 to this point. The third shot for Detroit goes into the back of the net. Shane Gospeher left alone out front, and makes no mistake about it. It's 1-1 off the power play goal. Get used to that for Detroit. There's a lot of power play opportunities here coming for Detroit. 9, in fact. But the Sens on this one had 4 defenders near the left boards, left Gospeher all alone. Say what you will about Joonas Korpisalo, he's not going to stop that one. So we go to the second period of play, and that's really a back-breaking type of goal, because Ottawa dominated the first period of play. They really, really dominated, put a lot of shots on net. Husso made some good stops, don't get me wrong, but Ottawa definitely missed a couple of golden opportunities, like Parker Kelly in the first period of play had a wide open net, completely missed it. Ottawa missed a few golden opportunities to really take big advantage of their good start, and now it's tied at 1 going to the second period of play, and the momentum clearly shifted. No doubt about that, because in the first couple of minutes, Joonas Korpisalo is playing like prime Dominik Hasek, making some huge stops, point-blank saves in the first few minutes of play. And then just 5 minutes in, Detroit gets their first lead of the night. It's Fisher with an unreal, and you got to say this, game respect game. This was a beautiful play. Fisher with an unreal no-look behind-the-back pass to Veleno. It's 2-1. Chychrun lost track of Veleno and let him sneak in, and that one goes off of Korpisalo and in. A bit of a rough one there, but once again, game respect game. A beautiful pass from Fisher from behind the net. This is a good hockey play. It's 2-1, and yeah, Chychrun probably should cover the front of the net, but I guess he got deceived by Fisher drawing him to the behind the net. But anyways, 10 minutes after that, Detroit continues to press and frankly dominate. After Detroit tied it at the first period of play. It was all Detroit after that. And then they capitalize and go up by 2 here as David Perron buries a loose puck off a Larkin deflected pass, 3-1 off the power play goal. And Jonas Korpisalo, I've been one of his biggest defenders this year, but he was far too deep on his net on this one. Looked, for some reason, out of position, was not square to the puck either on the shot, and just can't have it. I mean, he was down early. It was quite odd why that one went in. He just didn't look comfortable on that one. And we go to the third period of play. Ottawa, 20, 30 minutes before this point, looked like they were off and running. They were going to dominate this game and take down Detroit easily. But we go to the third period of play, and Ottawa finds themselves down by 2. 30 seconds in, I mean, talk about disastrous starts to a period. Larkin is trailing through the middle, snipes the third power play goal of the game for Detroit. It's 4-1. You just can't leave that guy open like that. Chartier, I think, lost his man there on the penalty kill, which looked disastrous today, which we'll talk about in my post-game thoughts. It's 4-1. 7 minutes later, sloppy turnover. Just a sloppy turnover from Tim Stützle, and Sprong finds Veleno. 5-1 now for Detroit, and Stützle has to know better than that. Just a careless turnover. No player for Ottawa was in the vicinity of where that puck was going to go. He needs to do better. It's 5-1, and then 2 minutes later, Ottawa gets one back, thankfully. Ridley Gregg receives a nice stretch pass from Matthew Joseph. He blows past Sherratt, puts it home for his first of the year to make it 5-2. He has points in 4 straight, Ridley Gregg does, and Joseph as well has points in all 5 games this year. Oh, wait, no, he doesn't. Yesterday, or not yesterday, but the last game, his assist got changed to Shabbat, so never mind. So 4 points, or 4 out of 5 games, pardon me, Matthew Joseph has gotten a point, which is very impressive. But that's it. Ottawa loses this game 5-2 to the Detroit Red Wings, and they get humbled. They get humbled big time. A big-time humbling type of game here. In a big game for Detroit, they get a massive win. They shut up the naysayers for sure, and especially after being blown out by Ottawa back-to-back games last year, getting outscored 12-3. We shouldn't be shocked that they came and really put on their A game in terms of producing. But the shot differential tonight was so wide that it's kind of shocking that Ottawa just missed so many prime opportunities. Now, I'm not saying that Detroit didn't deserve this win. They scored 5 goals. They earned the win. But Ottawa put on 37 shots. Detroit only put on 23. Ottawa played a far better game overall, but they missed their prime opportunities. They took too many stupid, undisciplined penalties, and Detroit made them pay for it. And that's how hockey goes sometimes. It was one of those games, and once again, Ottawa got humbled. Don't get me wrong. And hopefully the next time these two teams face off against one another, and there'll be a few more times that happens, they're both in the Atlantic Division, I guarantee, or I hope at the very least, the Ottawa Senators put in a complete effort and try to respond to, frankly, a humbling and embarrassing loss at home. Now, look, once again, I kind of mentioned Jonas Korpisalo in that, and I'll just talk about him quickly. 18 saves on 23 shots, not great. He made some huge stops there, especially in the second period early on, but a couple of those goals he has to stop, particularly that third one, just can't have it. He hasn't stolen a game for Ottawa yet in 3 starts, and I'm not worried, but, once again, that's 3 games in a row now for him that good amount of goals went in past him, and you got to stop some shots here. So a bit of a tough game there for Jonas Korpisalo, but it also shows the importance of Artem Zub in that 5-on-5 play, especially on the penalty kill, and hopefully he's back soon because we desperately need him for defensive purposes. During the second intermission, Bruce Garriock on TSN mentioned that in his quote, "We're going to have some clarity on where Shane Pinto and the SENS stand as far as their future goes in the next few days." He also added on to that by saying he doesn't necessarily see an extension coming. I don't like where this is going. That's the update there on Shane Pinto. I don't like where that's going. I don't like the wording of that. I don't like the tone of that message or that, report. I like Dominic Kubalik, but if you have to trade him to keep Pinto around, you do it. He's on a 1-year deal. It's an obvious move. A team will pick him up for sure. He's a guy that any team would really like on such a cheap contract for what he can, provide for a team. And you get to keep Shane Pinto back, a guy you essentially used a first-round pick on. Guy was picked 2nd overall in the 2nd round. Basically a first-round pick. What is this even about? Get him back on this team. This is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And if we end up trading Shane Pinto, I mean that Pierre Dorion. I don't know if Steve Stais and Michael Einlauer keeps him around after such a bungling of a asset like that. Just embarrassing. And I hope the report's wrong or isn't the way I'm interpreting it, because once again, the fact he mentioned he doesn't necessarily see a contract extension coming, that just does not inspire confidence whatsoever. Now, a couple of last things here before I wrap it up. Ottawa, as I mentioned a few times in this video, their penalty kill was disastrous today. It really shows the impact that Artem Zub has on this team. Detroit scored 3 power play goals on 9 opportunities tonight. I mean, just can't have it. You just can't have it. You know, you're going to take so many penalties. You got to kill them off. And they didn't. And Detroit made them pay for it. And that's why the shot differential doesn't really matter, because you give them those opportunities. They're a talented team. They got good players. They're going to capitalize. And they did. So for Ottawa tonight, you just have to play far more disciplined. And I can't say that or stress that enough. You have to be far more disciplined, because Detroit, they have some good players, but other teams like Toronto, Tampa Bay, you can't be taking that amount of penalties. So the penalty kill tonight really let us down, didn't help us at all. And once again, I get it was a high intensity game. You got to keep your emotions in check, though, and the Sens, frankly, did not today. And not all that is their fault. I mean, Detroit literally jumped Brady Tkachuk, as I mentioned, in the first period of play. But there were some stupid penalties. And by the way, the refs weren't on their A game today, I'll say. I'm not blaming the refs, but the refs definitely missed some calls in favor of Ottawa in terms of like Detroit getting away with a couple of trips and whatnot, particularly on Batherson in the second period. But regardless, it's not the refs' fault we lost. We still took those penalties. We could have killed them. We didn't. We lost. We got humbled. Plain and simple. So besides that, I'll see you in the next one. It's going to be an interesting one. Tuesday night against the Buffalo Sabres at 6:45. Craig Anderson will be signing a 1-day deal to retire as an Ottawa Senator. Myself and Noah Luden will be there. Can't wait for that. I'll be putting out a fun video for that Tuesday night. But by the way, shout out to Andy. Beast mode. Love the guy. Can't wait for that on Tuesday. But yeah, tough game today. Got humbled. It happens. Let's move on and push through a tough loss and respond big time on Tuesday. Besides that, thank you all for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Comment below what you think about this game and, of course, DeBrincat's return to the nation's capital. Besides that, thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Go Sens, go.